Hey, what's up, Facebook family? How are you today? I have been like seriously underground, first of all. And I do literally mean underground. This weekend, I went to some caverns. It was so cool. It's only 52 degrees when you're 150 feet below ground in a cavern. I mean, not 150 degrees. It's only 52 degrees. It was cold as all get out in those caverns. I was not feeling it. What's up, Nanette? It's so good to see you. So anyway, it's been a little bit since I've been on. I've been working on a huge project. Today we're going to talk about code switching and how code switching so hurts, speakers, people who have, if you have to speak in front of people, it really hurts your credibility. And lots of people do it and they don't even realize they do it. They don't even, or they can't control that they're doing it and they're working on it. And actually it was someone else who brought this up to me and said, Dawnna, please, please, please talk a little bit about code switching and, how to fix that, because he's like, you don't do it. I mean, that was a funny thing. He's like, because you don't do it. And I'm like, I don't do it. So we're going to talk about that today, but just to catch you guys up. So I've been working on this major project. I have the Biz on Fire, the Biz on Fire workshop that we have now is going on, and we have another Biz on Fire e-discovery class coming up on the 18th of July. I mean, I can't believe how quickly these they're selling out and how successful they're being. So if you want to get in, please go to biz-on-fire.com and I'll throw you a link. Anyway, let's go right into it and talk about code switching, because, this is something that people do. It's serious. It happens all the time. Some people don't realize it. I get videos from speakers all the time, people who are my closest friends, and they code switch. Now, sometimes people do it inadvertently. So let's first talk about what it is. So have you ever seen this video? It is a news anchor, and I will find this video because I'm not kidding you. Every time I see this video, I laugh my ass off. It is hilarious, but it is this news anchor, and it's this black guy. And he's out somewhere, I don't know, in the country somewhere, and he starts talking, and like a bug flies in his mouth. And he goes from, and so today we're having, and then the bug flies in his mouth. I go, what the fuck is that? Like, he's like, this country has motherfucking planet. Like, he just loses it, right? So he goes from this like perfectly polished, professional person to this dude that's like, you're like, what the hell? Where'd that come from? It was almost like it was two different people. That is a form of code switching. I have people who are friends, close friends of mine, that are speakers that send me their videos. And they are one way when they're on stage, but then when I see them on their video, I'm like, who the hell is that? That's not you. And the reason and they have reasons for code switching. So code switching is when you are inauthentic to how you communicate on a regular basis. Now, sometimes code switching is completely inadvertent. So like that anchor man, people will do it in a stressful situation. They will go from being one way to another way. Or people when maybe you are speaking another language. So let's say, for example, that I'm in a country, a Spanish-speaking country, and I speak some Spanish, and then all of a sudden something happens, and instead of me saying, come mierda in Spanish, I go, oh shit, right? I would say it in English. So that's just an example of code switching. So sometimes code switching is inadvertent. Bilingual people tend to code switch more often than not. Then another way that people code switch is that they want to get something. Like they want to get, for example, tips. A really good example of somebody code switching is waitresses will tell you that if they speak with a southern drawl, they are more likely to get a higher tip than not. So they will use code switching and they will speak with a southern drawl in order to get a higher tip. It happens a lot. I had to research that one. I was like, for real, they do that? Okay. People do it because they want to convey a thought. There might be a colloquialism that they're totally aware of in their native language, but they're not aware of how to convert it to English, for example, or they're not aware of how to convert it to another language. So those are what we call simple kind of inadvertent type of code switching. And then the fourth way that people use code switching is they want to hide something. So I spoke, for example, Portuguese, and I knew no one around me spoke Portuguese, then that one person I'm speaking to who does speak Portuguese, I might speak Portuguese to them so that no one else will know that what I'm talking about. So those are examples of code switching. But the more nefarious example of code switching is when, like that anchor man, he purposely changes the way he speaks. He becomes this very almost robotic type of way of speaking. And that is not how he speaks when he sits over lunch. That particular anchor man. I'm not saying all of them. I have some friends who are anchormen, and the way they are on TV is exactly the way they are across at Starbucks, right? And sometimes you want to say, dude, don't you ever turn that off? And it turns out that there's nothing to turn off because that's just who they are. But when it's not who you are and you find yourself in an environment, so I'll use, for example, African-American speakers, and then I'm going to go down the line. So I'm not just going to pick on one minority. I'm going to pick on all of them because I'm equal opportunity like that. That was an example of code switching. So let's say, for example, but y'all know I'll code switch. So let's say, for example, that you have someone who's an African-American person, and I don't know, they talk like me, right? And by the way, this is the way I talk on stage, off stage, across Starbucks, not across from Starbucks, in the North, in the South, in Egypt. I don't care. This is just who I am, and I'm good with it. And anyone listening and talking to me that's not good with it, well, don't listen. Don't talk to me. Keep it rolling. There's 7 billion people on earth. Find one of them. That's the way I feel about it. But what happens is when people want to fit in, what they will do, and I'm going to pick on African American, is again, I'm going to pick on some of my people. They will get on stage, and I'm telling you, I'll have this one conversation, and we'll like do dap, everything, hugs before they go on stage, and they go on stage, and they sound like that anchor man. And I'm like, who's that? And if they don't sound like the anchor man, then they sound like the Black Baptist preacher. And I'm like, bro, you won't even go to church. Like, what is happening? There is, and it happens a lot. Another set of people that I see doing it are people from the South. I see it happen more often than not, that people from the South will go on stage and they will suddenly lose their Southern accent. Why? Because they think that if they use it, people will think they're dumber. So somebody asked me a few weeks ago, I actually did a live stream on it, and the question was, why am I so ghetto? Right? And I actually thought it's kind of funny. I'm like, that's cool. It doesn't really bother me. And I said, listen, if the way that I speak, if my vernacular offends you and you don't like the twang of my voice and you don't like the slang that's coming out of my mouth, don't listen. This is who I am. I am somewhat ghetto because you know what? That's where I was raised. Right? But what happens is people who were not, I'm going to say, raised with a silver spoon, and I'm not slamming on people with a silver spoon, I'm just using it as an example. People who are not raised with a silver spoon, sometimes they get in these positions and they really feel like they have to be something else in order to fit in with some others. If you have to really change who you are for them to like you, then they don't like you. They like your representative. And that's not being authentic. That's not being true to you, right? And so what happens is, here's a few things that happens. Number one, I'm going to tell you right now, people can smell that fraudulence a mile away. A mile away. They really can. They can smell it a mile away, and they get offended. They get absolutely offended. Jessica said, she said, so true. I thought I had to speak a certain way when I spoke to physicians. It was when I was myself that I got callbacks. Right. And so what happens is people can smell it. They can smell that. They can smell the inauthenticity. They're like, you're not even real. And the thing is, the first time that they catch you off guard or something happens and you know, they catch you in the bathroom and you're being real, they're like, well, this wasn't the person I saw on stage. What happened? And by the way, I was guilty of this when I first started speaking. This was something I was totally guilty of. I had gone to Toastmasters, and nothing against Toastmasters, but I will tell you this. I had gone to Toastmasters, and I was in Toastmasters for a while. And Toastmasters has like this checklist of things, right? Like, don't use uhs or ums or ahs. Don't use slang. walk a certain way, talk a certain way, stop. My favorite is before every speech, and I'm telling you, I can spot a Toastmaster a mile away because they all do this, is they stand once they're introduced for a few seconds. They stand there and they pause and they literally look around the room before they say anything. And they count to themselves like 7 seconds before they say something. Let me tell you something. If I'm having a conversation with you and you pause for 7 seconds and you look around before you answer me, I'll be like, what? What? Like, okay, like, what do you look? I'm going to think either A, there's something wrong with you, or B, there's somebody coming up behind me. But it's just an inauthentic way of being. But I was in Toastmasters and there was this list, this box of things that we had to do. And because I was trying to keep all those boxes checked, I used to code switch. I would be this very bad speaker on stage because Toastmasters had taught me to do so. Hey, LaRudy, what's up? We're talking about code switching. Because Toastmasters has taught me to do so. They taught me to code switch. They taught me I had to be a certain way when I got on stage, and then I had to be something else when I was off. Well, let me tell you, that's bullshit. Who you are is who you are. And when you code switch on stage, when you code switch at any place, let me tell you, if I go and hang out with you and we're cool and everything, and then all of a sudden somebody comes around that's either closer to you than I am or someone that you're trying to suck up to and you change, I'm going to look at you like you have lost your mind. I'm going to be like, who was that showed up to the party? I had a friend who's no longer a friend, but I had a friend who used to drink hard all the time. Now, I don't drink at all, but she used to drink hard. And when she would get around her friends that she was in college with and she drank and she used to drink around them, it was another person that showed up before she started drinking. All of a sudden, I was the butt of her jokes, and y'all gotta know, that lasted like a very short amount of time. But all of a sudden, she changed. She became this person who all of a sudden was back in college, and she was drinking a lot, and then I was the butt of every joke. And I'm like, what's going on? And the way she spoke even changed. Her vernacular changed. The way she carried herself changed. Then I had this other friend, and I'm not kidding you, we kind of have a joke like, no, you're not gang affiliated. You're just a light-skinned brother. Well, the truth is he's a white guy. But then, we kind of teased and said, we're going to give you light-skinned brother credentials. He started doing stuff that I'm like, no, that's another form of code switching, right? Obviously, he's doing it as a joke. But code switching is when you change from who you are to be someone else. And most people do it and they get on stage and do it. LSB. They get on stage and do it. They get in front of other people. They get around other people, and it comes off as offensive and inauthentic. And the outcome of that, by the way, is that people don't trust you. They honestly don't trust you. They think that you're a fraud. So how do you fix it? I'm going to tell you how I fixed mine, and then hopefully this will help you fix yours. Now, I will tell you that sometimes you just got to jump in the fire, right? Sometimes you just got to do it. So I had this speech that was coming up, and if you guys ever get a chance to Google the Starbucks story and then my first name, Dawnna, you will see this video. So I had this speech that I was not slated for, and it was a 90-minute speech. And what happened was the people who were supposed to be hired, the woman who was supposed to speak at this particular event, for whatever reason, something happened and she couldn't do it. So I get a call, I get a knock on my hotel room door at 6 o'clock in the morning. And, hey, what's up, AJ? I get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they asked me if I can give a speech at 9 to 2,000 people. Okay. Now, I was just speaking at another event. I was supposed to be leaving that day. So I don't have anything prepared. Toastmasters had already taught me you had to have everything prepared. And now I have a 90-minute speech and I have nothing prepared for these people. So I sat there and I asked them about 5 or 10 questions. I came up with stuff that we could do. And then one of the things that I thought about were I came up with 6 or 7 stories that I could tell and weave all those stories into one speech. So I did that. And I had a couple of activities as well. It was completely unrehearsed. It was 100% authentically me. There was no code switching. That Starbucks story video I mean, it's gone viral. I mean, I have a relationship with Starbucks because of that video, but it was authentic. And you know what it taught me? It taught me the most valuable lesson that you can learn, more so than anything else, that you're good enough. You don't need to code switch. You are who you are. You're going to have haters anyway. So guess what? You might as well be who you are, because you're going to have haters when they find out you're a fake. And you're going to have haters. You're going to have haters when you are who you are. So you might as well be who you are and not worry about code switching. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Like when I go to England, I try to use an English accent. It doesn't come off very well at all. And my boy Jeff would know that. So code switching doesn't work. You are good enough. You don't need to code switch. You just need to be who you are, and that's it. Anyway, you guys have a fantastic day. Hey, if you want to check out bizonfire.com, that's biz-on-fire, we're going to have our class coming up in July after I see Mr. Jeff Ram in Dallas, Texas, on the big stage, killing it as keynote speaker. That is my buddy. I love Jeff. I can't wait to see him in Dallas. He is going to knock it out of the park. He's so good. He is. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm a good speaker. I'm good. I don't hold a candle to Mr. Ram. He is off the chain. I don't even try. Did you just put yeehaw? Code switching. There we go. Jeff Ram code switching. You know damn well they don't say yeehaw in England. That's what I love about my peeps. They come on and go ahead and prove me right. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a great one.